Hello and welcome to Rule of Three's video review for Remember Me, a third-person action-adventure game from Capcom. With me, like usual, are Impressions. How you doing?
Doing all right.
Awesome. And Synyster Dreamer. How you doing today?
Yeah, not too bad.
All right. So, Remember Me is a new IP, so there's no background we have to give to it. So let's go straight into the story. So the story of Remember Me takes place in the near future, I believe, in Neo France, which is France, just very techy.
Neo Paris to be
Oh,
specific.
Neo Paris, yeah, specifically. You play as Nil, a memory hunter who has had her memory wiped and doesn't remember who exactly she is, other than the information she gets from her uh, cohort called Edge, who is just some guy who talks to you over the like, I guess, comm or in your head to relay information. And Nil goes around trying to first of all figure out who she is, and also to bring down an evil company known as Synyster, who is using people's memories to basically control all of society. And on the whole, I thought the story was very interesting. I did like the concept of it and the setting. The characters were okay, but I mean, the story was very, very intriguing. Impressions for Sister, guys?
Story-wise, I actually enjoyed it a bit because it was intriguing enough that it kept my interest in playing. So it's like, okay, so I gotta go here, but okay, I did this, and well, okay, it's set up for this. Now, how does that get screwed over by the next instance of things that happen in the story? And overall, it was quite interesting for me.
Impressions?
I think the strongest point of the story is the fact that it established that new technology. I can't remember the name. Let's save my life. The one that the Memorized Corporation obviously commoditizes memories, and that becomes pretty much the foundation for the conflict in the story. And like all setups and whatnot, there is the group that rebels against it, and that is what we're working with. Nolan's company kind of wants to liberate people from, wants to free up all the memories, etc. Or at least, if not that, then at least use them to their advantage, which is a talent that she is particularly, gifted with.
Yeah, but we'll get into that gift in a little
So,
bit.
so yeah, that sets up everything pretty well, in my opinion. And it's just really engaging. It's a nice, it's story wise, it's something that I at least I haven't seen done before. So it was really, it drew me in very well.
Yeah. Like I said, it also kind of reminded me a little bit of Total Recall a little bit with the whole kind of memory implantations and stuff. But like I said, yeah,
Okay,
it's
okay, there you go. Well,
yeah,
I guess in gaming, yeah, Total Recall, yeah, that makes sense.
that's the only thing I could think of that has kind of the whole memory thing. But otherwise, yeah, gaming wise, I can't think of any. So let's get into gameplay. So gameplay is very, very basic. If you've played any of the Batman Arkham games, this has a very similar but not as well done combat system. You have square and triangle are your main attacks, X is a dodge, and circle does, I believe, absolutely nothing, at least from what I remember.
It's an activation for special moves. So like
Oh
if
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
do I think it's overload. When it pops up after you do your combo, you can,
It's like the takedown in Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
right. That's right. I
And
forgot
then
about that.
and also just movement and everything, just in general, feels like Mirror's Edge.
Yeah. Um, but when you're not in combat, yeah, it also when you're not in combat, you do a lot more, I guess, Uncharted slash Tomb Raider esque scaling and climbing and jumping platform style. That was okay. I don't. It was kind of repetitive, and it was always kind of the same things you climbed on over and over again. But I mean, that's with any kind of game that has you scale a lot of buildings and walls. And then, like I said, the combat itself, like I said, it was very close to Arkham City and Arkham Asylum, but it wasn't as well done. The flow wasn't quite as good as the Batman games. So I kind of had a little issue with that, especially with combos. And then, like, if you dodged the wrong way or hit another person, it canceled your combo and you had to start over instead of just continuing it. And I felt that really broke the combat flow a lot. So,
But at the same time, it worked because if you think about it, you try to make combos in real life, and if you dodge out of the way and you can't keep going, you have to start all over again. So for me, it actually wasn't bad. It was all based off of timing.
Impressions?
Yeah, off the timing thing. I actually think that was the problem with the combat system was the timing was off. It was a little too restrictive on how you chained them. Like you had to hit it right when the previous attack hit in order for you to chain to the next one. And I thought that was odd considering that it was based on a combat system where you had to string them together and it shows up on the bottom. You'd think just by inputting them correctly in the right order, like a regular fighter, that's kind of the feel that I expected. But instead, there was more, it seemed a little restrictive in my opinion. And also to build on what you said about the flow breaking all the time, I think that the combat system would have greatly improved with counter rather than a dodge. That would have solved, I think, the stringing issue when you were trying to build a combo. But that's just my opinion. I think I'm just a little too attached to the combat system from Arkham Asylum and Arkham City.
Right, and since we're talking about combos, I want to go into the combo lab. So, whenever you, I guess, level up or get enough points, you unlock these things called, I should forget what they're called, but they're basically additional combo, like, buttons you can push, and there's 4 categories. There's super damage, healing punches, cooldown reducer, and link.
Talking about the presence?
Oh, presence, thank you.
Okay.
That's what they're called. And you get 4 basic combos, and you can... The combos are all preset, but you can customize what each one does. Each one of those buttons in the combo does, whether it be like super damage heal, super damage, or super damage heal, cooldown, cooldown, super damage, or something along those lines. It allows you to customize what effects your combos have. And I thought it was nice. Made it very easy to customize, although I found later on that, especially while in combat, like if you started getting low on health, I just stacked all healing ones and I was full health in one combo. Didn't do the most damage, but I'd be full house, switch back, and then kill everything really quick. But I did like the combo lab idea. Synyster?
The whole combo lab deal, it was actually kind of interesting to mess around with. And considering every time you leveled up, or every so often when you leveled, you got more combo options. And I usually stuck with, like, my 3-set combo was, a hit, and then 2 recharges, and then healing was my second, then my heavy was, like, one of my longest ones. And all in all, it was actually, after I got used to it and figuring everything out, I kind of enjoyed it. It was like, okay, string whatever attacks so I can, hard hit, recharge, heal, and then damage on the end. Or I can just switch it up to however I wanted. And for me, it worked.
Impressions?
And that ties back to what I said about her being such a unique a character with such unique abilities. The fact that this game kind of does away with healing, and you actually heal by fighting, and you do that by setting up your combos. And also, you get certain effects with certain punches. And I know the precedent before in other games is that you can build your meter. This is the first time I've ever seen where you can build your health by fighting, or at least none come to mind right away. And at least nothing so explicit like in this one where it's so deliberate. You set up your combos so that you can heal, etc. Aside from no, that's it. I think the combo lab was very different. Instead of gaining combos throughout your progress in the game, you actually build them yourself, and then you can. It's very interesting toying with what combos well with what, and looking at the animation on the screen, seeing how differently you can create them.
Right. All right, and the next thing I want to go into are memory mixes. This is what in my mind makes Remember Me stand out. There's 4 of these, and once you get to them, basically you get to mess with people's memories and switch things around and make them remember things the way you want to remember them. And it has kind of a puzzle element to where you have to have the right things changed in order to get the memory to play out the way you want. Otherwise, you could accidentally kill the person you're trying to have remember something, and you can't do that, or it doesn't work. And this is by far, I think, the greatest thing. I wish they would have had more of these memory mixes in the game.
Yeah, I actually did enjoy those. It was interesting to be like, okay, well, this is your target end. How do you figure out what to do to get to that end? And well, you can play out different scenarios and be like, well, that didn't work. All right, we'll try this. Well, that didn't work. This, nope. And then you finally get to the end, and it was like, okay, so this plus this plus this plus that equals the end you want. You redo the person's memory so that they remember the scenario differently.
Impressions?
And it's not as easy as you think it would be. It's not just It's not just it shows you there are 5 things you can change in the memory, and you go back and change them. Each one has a different effect. Each one has, certain combinations will result in different endings, and sometimes like the very first time I had to do it, it took me a good 15-20 minutes to figure it out because I had to play through the memory with each change, and then to see how that influenced the actual storyline. When that didn't work, obviously, I had to start combining them. It's an actual reasoning process. You actually have to. I mean, do we want to say what the first memory was or something?
Yeah, they showed a video of it, so it's not really
Okay.
spoiling.
So basically, you're trying to motivate a doctor to kill somebody on deathbed. No, not deathbed, on a hospital bed. So you think moving the scalpel closer to him might work, but he just moves it back out of the way. But then it turns out that moving that scalpel is actually supposed to influence the timing for another thing that you do, for example. That's just, I don't want to get too much into it because there's like literally a handful of combinations, but that's just a small example of what we mean.
Yeah, and some of these remixes, at least later game, get pretty screwed up on what you have to do to people.
Yeah, I'm curious what that second one is. You've been telling me about that.
Yeah, dude, it's messed up.
Okay, I'll get to that then.
Not only that one, but even the last one's also pretty messed up. So the last thing I want to talk about are collectibles and upgrades. So throughout the world are little packs that increase your focus bar, which is how you do special abilities, which I guess we'll touch on that a little bit after this, and health upgrades, as well as lore pieces. And they're scattered throughout. But the nice thing about at least the health and focus is if you pay attention, there'll be these little screens of people's memories of where they hit them. So you just kind of have to go, okay, this is the area, where is that area, and you'll usually find it. And I thought that was a nice way to do at least the upgrades. That way I'm not scouring the map, but then have the lore be the kind of the hidden gems to build up the world, which, like I said, I thought it was a very interesting world they did. So, you guys, Synyster?
Yeah, the collectibles were kind of interesting to find because there's like some little things you would find off just randomly, and then the images of the people's memories where they hid certain things. It's like, okay, fun little task of, okay, where is this? Looking around, because it usually was in like the immediate vicinity of where you're at or just around the corner. So you're like, okay, so I'm here. Where is? Oh, there it is. And you pick it up and you get your upgrade to whatever is going to be the next thing after you collect a string of those collectibles. I thought it was kind of ingenious to do it that way to make it more interactive with the world.
You guys are talking about the one where it shows you a picture?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, again, I'm surprised this game kind of takes me back more and more to Arkham Asylum, Arkham City. You had to find out where to stand in the map to get that exact visual. It was, I mean, sort of like the Riddler challenges, but not as well done. It's more like you just had to find exactly where that vista point or viewpoint was in the map. So you actually gave you a chance to analyze the environment and try to get to the point where it would where that picture most likely would have been taken. And I thought that was a different way to interact with the environment. I'm not sure if it was the best way, but definitely something new that they're trying out.
Okay, and since I brought up special abilities, we should have talked about this during the combat portion, but you have special abilities. Each one does a different thing, whether it be super speed fighting, blowing people up, stealth, and a bunch of other things. And you use these to basically take down enemies quicker, and you have a focus bar that tells you how many of these you can use, which fills up when you're punching and getting punched. And I like the special abilities. I thought they were all kind of fun. Each one had kind of a nice specific use, and I thought it was well done. Synyster?
Yeah. The focus abilities were actually kind of nice, especially when you like some of them that like if you have a group of enemies around you and you want to damage them all, you can get the focus and then hit one enemy and it would damage all the enemies in a radius and make it fights a lot easier to get through. Other ones, it was just like, okay, this is kind of fun just to go out and wail.
Oh. Impressions?
Yeah, that was another opportunity for you to really mix and play around with your combos. Whether or not you wanted to use your combos to heal, or in this case, build the focus meter a lot faster so that you can be a little more aggressive. That's just, excuse me, that's just another example of how unique Nilin's combat style is, actually, just to say the least.
Okay, and with that, I think we'll go into our ratings for the game. So here at Rule of Three, if you've never listened to anything...
one thing I think I should mention also.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, the ones where you relive the memories, so that you can actually follow the...
Oh, right, stealing memories.
Well, not just... Well, yeah, stealing memories, or in that case, sometimes the guy gave them to you. Basically, where you're following, like, the memory ghost. I forget, again, the terminology. This game gives you also a whole lot of new terms, by the way, that you kind of can't remember all at once. But yeah, that particular method, you know, where you had to kind of synchronize yourself with that memory to figure out how to progress in the game. Also, I thought was an interesting addition.
That's a good point. I totally forgot about the memory spot things replays.
That
was really nice.
Where you stand where it triggers an old memory so that you can access, if not a hidden point, then at least, you know, your objective.
Yeah. So is there anything on that?
Yeah, it was a nice little addition to the game.
Okay, with that, we really are going to our ratings. So here at Really 3, we don't use a point system because numbers make me angry. So instead, we do a buy, rent, pass system. Buy means we think it's worth the full price of the game because it's just that enjoyable and that good of a game that, you know, we think it's worth whatever the publishers want. A rent means, you know, it was okay. Maybe not worth the full price, maybe half for renting it from Gamefly, but, you know, it was fun. We enjoyed it. A pass means you need to forget it now. In fact, go get the memory taken out of your brain.
That's funny, because the game's called Remember Me.
Yeah, that's why I went with that one. Yeah. So, I'll go first on this one. I give this one a solid rent. Really, the combat and the platforming parts, there's a couple platformer parts that kind of pissed me off, but the combat just wasn't all, though. But, like I said, the story and the environment I thought were great, and the memory mixes. Everything else was kind of meh. Impressions? We'll go with you next.
I go with the rent category, more so to buy it at a cheap price. It is a very innovative and very different world that you play in this game. I really enjoyed the memory wiping. That's actually the highlight of the game to me, and I feel that's one that that's basically what you need to try the game for. The combat system would be secondary. I like that it's I want to be able to put in, you know, more combos from other Capcom's franchises in there, like the Shoryuken and whatnot. And it's just, I enjoyed it. I just wouldn't pay the full price for it.
And Synyster, we'll have you go last.
I gave the game a buy. After the slow start to playing it, and then actually picking up, I actually enjoyed the game a lot, and I wish I could have had more time to finish it.
All right, so there you have it. You have a buy from Synyster and 2 rents. That's it for Remember Me. Next week, we are doing Marvel Heroes from Gazillion, I believe, MMO Diablo-style game. So we'll have that next week. And that's it. So remember to leave a comment below for our summer whatever game you want giveaway, as well as subscribing to our channel above. Make sure to go to Facebook and Twitter and follow us and like us and all that good stuff. And go to our website, rule03.com, for the reviews, and check out all our backlog and all our good stuff that we try to get up there as often as possible. Thanks to you guys, and always remember to trust in the rule of 3.